Good morning and welcome to TNT. A huge fire overnight in Pattaya, which will lead our news today with some stunning footage shot by Kausod English, which will feature in the report. Now, the mopping up will continue today, and obviously a lot of questions asked how it started and how these sort of big fires can be prevented in the future. So this big fire in Pattaya is the big story today. Some of the video you'll be seeing is from Kausod English on their YouTube page. Now let's start with Pattaya 1 News. And they reported on their Facebook page, fire breaks out at Pattaya Floating Market. Established since 2008, the Pattaya Floating Market is riverside attraction in Pattaya, displaying and showcasing the beautiful ancient Thai riverside living. We go to the PattayaNews.com. Fire causes severe damage to Pattaya Floating Market, estimated 50 million baht of damages. And the fire is believed to have started at a wooden restroom building. There are no significant injuries or deaths reported as of press time, and of course that's the most important thing. So a huge blaze, but luckily no injuries. And the Pattaya City Police were notified of the fire at 8:30 p.m. last night. And it happened at the Four Regions Floating Market on Sukhumvit Road, and they had about 20 fire engines heading to the scene. There were some sparks before the fire started in the middle of the market at the wooden toilets before the fire spread. And further down there, employees and vendors were seen by reporters desperately trying to rescue their belongings and stalls from the flames, while firefighters ordered them to evacuate the market and move to safety. We go now to PattayaMail.com, and Pattaya Mayor takes command of firefighting efforts at blazing floating market. And as the devastating fire continued to rage at the Four Regions Floating Market in Pattaya, the mayor rushed to the scene of the disaster to oversee the firefighting efforts. Dramatic photo there, published in PattayaMail.com, showing the enormous size and intensity of that blaze. We go to KausodEnglish.com, their website, and it says fire destroys Pattaya Floating Market. Some jump into the water. And the fire burned down the mostly wooden market, leaving only the roof and pillars. Some market employees leapt into the water to escape the flames. Nobody was seriously hurt. And the report says more than 20 fire trucks were sent to put out the fire, but it was difficult to extinguish because the area is mostly made of wood, while the area is gusty with rain. There was also the sound of explosions from time to time. And just a bit of background from this KausodEnglish.com story. Pattaya Floating Market, which has been established since 2008, is a riverside attraction in Pattaya that displays and showcases the beautiful ancient Thai riverside living community and authentic ways of life. And the MD of the floating market attraction once stated in an interview that the initial construction costs of the location was 250 million baht, later increased to 350 million baht. So at this stage, no idea what's going to be happening with the floating market. Clearly a huge fire that wiped out that entire tourist attraction, well visited, and it was really just a small glimpse into Thai culture for people spending a few days in Pattaya. Yes, it was touristy, but we do wish the owners well as they try and pick up the pieces, and we can see that that was completely destroyed in that fire. And we should once again thank Kausod English for the very dramatic vision. Also coverage in PattayaMail.com, the PattayaNews.com and KausodEnglish.com. So the live TNT program, Saturday morning Thai time at 9 a.m. We'll put up a post on our community page so people can post some early topics, ideas, questions, or comments that we can address at the start of the program. But that will be an hour between you and me live, and we can do anything we like. Just bring one of these with you, BYO. And also Sunday, we've got our Grumpy Old Men program. We recorded it yesterday at the Memory at On Hotel, right in the middle of Old Phuket Town. just sort of reliving some of the great memories of that particular hotel, its involvement in the film The Beach. So that's Steve and I on Grumpy Old Men. That'll be out on Sunday. Let's move to our next story on TNT today. And this from thePattaya.news.com. Shipyard owner crushed to death on Jomtien beach by his own tractor. And a shipyard owner of Thai nationality was crushed to death when his tractor overturned on Jomtien beach. Happened yesterday morning. The man was trying to haul a speedboat out of the sea with his tractor. He was a 73-year-old named as Mr. Manit J. Man, and the deceased's relatives and witnesses to the incident told the Pattaya police that Mr. Manit, a shipyard owner, was trying to haul his speedboat out of the sea with a tractor when the wheel of his vehicle got stuck in the sand, prompting another person to bring another tractor to help pull it out. However, at that moment, the deceased tractor lost balance and flipped over to the side, crushing the victim. His relatives hurried to help and freed him from the tractor, but he passed away shortly after due to his severe injuries. Having been involved with boats in the past, I'm not unfamiliar with pulling boats out with tractors, but we never used to put the tractor wheels any more than about that into the water, so at least we had the front wheels on the dry sand to pull the boats out. Anyway, that was a very sad occasion in Pattaya yesterday morning down at the Jomtien beach. Moving to our next story today, to the BangkokPost.com. A police officer killed in promotion talks. And an influential Kanman in Nakhon Pathom has surrendered to police after a gunman killed a highway police officer and injured another following an argument over a promotion at the Kanman's home late on Wednesday night. The Kanman in Thailand is like the village leader. And a Praween Chanklai, also known as Kanman Nok, turned himself into Nakhon Pathom police on Thursday afternoon, not long after they obtained a warrant for his arrest for ordering the shootings. The gunman, who works for Mr. Praween, remains at large. Now, eyewitnesses have told investigators that the shootings took place after a request by Mr. Praween for the transfer for his policeman nephew was rebuffed. And police have identified the suspect as Tanchai Manmak, who's 45 years old, and a warrant for his arrest on charges of intentional murder, attempted murder, illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition, and carrying a weapon in public without permission was issued by the Nakhon Pathom court. And police say the gunman committed the crime in full view of many people who had been invited to the dinner. There were 5 dining tables, one which was reserved for the highway police. And police say the action was outrageous. The gunman was audacious enough to carry out this act against the police in a public setting. And a photo there of Police Major Sivakorn, who was the highway policeman who was shot in this shooting, apparently ordered by a local Kanman. And that happened in Nakhon Pathom, which is just to the west of the city of Bangkok. Moving to our next story, and Nation Thailand reports PM plans to solve submarine engine dispute with Germany, Defence Minister says. And we'll try and bring you up to date with the background of this story if it all sounds a bit confusing. But the new Prime Minister, Sita Tawisin, is likely to talk with leaders of Germany's government to tackle the dispute over an engine to be used in a Chinese-made submarine purchased by Thailand. In the original deal to buy China's S-26T Yuan-class submarine, the Royal Thai Navy demanded that the vessel be fitted with German-made MTU 396 diesel engines. But it turned out that an EU embargo prevented Germany from selling this engine to China as it's destined for military hardware. And the submarine's manufacturer, China Shipbuilding and Offshore International, recently offered a Chinese-made engine as a replacement for the German engine, but no conclusion had been reached by the Thai Navy. And the Defence Minister said it was likely that PM Sita would ask Germany to sell the engine in question to Thailand and would negotiate with China not to use a Chinese-made engine, and said the government would avoid causing any dissatisfaction to either China or Germany. So it looks like the new Prime Minister is going to get his hands dirty on this particular international fracas all over a Chinese-made submarine that many people think Thailand doesn't need anyway. This is roughly what it looks like, an S-26T Yuan-class submarine. The real one's a little bit bigger than that. That's what they look like out in the water. So no one's particularly sure what this submarine's going to be used for, let alone the Royal Thai Navy, but it was ordered by the previous government, and at this stage doesn't look like it's going to be delivered until they sort out what sort of engine it's going to have. And just a big thank you to our sponsor 5 Star Marine. There's a link in the description below if you'd like a special deal for TNT viewers. Also, don't forget they've got that October 7 charity bash, and that's going to be a free ride out to Maiton Island to go and watch the dolphins. Also, the rest of the day having fun at Coral Island. All that's asked is a donation to Living Waters Phuket, the largest charity on the island. So let's get behind 5 Star Marine as they do great work and raising money, in this case for Living Waters Phuket. The Thai Airways are on the lookout for some new planes. How many? Well, BangkokPost.com reporting Thai explores acquiring up to 95 new jets. And Thai Airways International is in talks with Boeing and Airbus for a plane order, potentially involving more than 90 jets, as it pursues restructuring and gears up for booming travel markets. I'd be very surprised if they end up ordering 90 jets, but let's see what the story says. In the national carrier, which is in the midst of a bankruptcy-protected debt restructuring, they've previously indicated a need for 30 or more new jets, but now they're looking at a purchase of as many as 95 aircraft. And these would include 15 narrow-body jets and up to 80 wide-body planes. So it seems rather than domestic, they're really going to be focusing on the long-haul markets. Aviation experts say such large orders are typically spread out over a decade or so. And currently, Thai and its subsidiaries have 67 active aircraft, comprising 20 narrow-bodied planes and 47 wide-bodied models. That includes Thai Airways and Thai Smile, who does most of their domestic flights, so they're soaking it all up into one big airline. But 95 aircraft, whilst a huge order, and as I said, I think probably unlikely under the current circumstances, is not really the largest order in the region. Going back to a story by CNBC a few months ago, Air India places orders for 470 Boeing and Airbus aircraft. And this story says it's underlining the surging demand for increased mobility in a nation with a swelling middle class. According to the Prime Minister, India is going to be the world's third largest market in the aviation sector. Over the next 15 years, it's estimated that India will need more than 2,000 aircraft, and today's historic announcement will help in meeting this growing demand. Well, that story published back on CNBC in February this year. But some large orders. I think Air Asia have also ordered aircraft in the hundreds, 300 or 400. So a lot of new aircraft coming into Asian skies over the next decade. Moving to a couple of regional stories today, let's start with CalSouthEnglish.com reporting that ASEAN leaders condemn Myanmar junta for continued violence. And leaders of ASEAN have condemned Myanmar's ruling military junta for continuing to attack those calling for democracy in the country, about a peace plan agreement struck over 2 years ago having made little progress. And the statement strongly condemned the continued acts of violence in Myanmar and urged all related parties in the country and the Myanmar armed forces in particular to de-escalate and stop targeted attacks on civilians. The statement also said that the violence in Myanmar had adversely impacted regional stability, particularly along the border region. And the leaders on Tuesday agreed on the Philippines chairing the regional body in 2026 instead of Myanmar. So each year the 10 members of ASEAN rotate the role of the chair. This year it's Indonesia. Next year it was meant to be Myanmar, but the Philippines, who are going to be the year after, will be taking up that role instead because clearly Myanmar is out of control. Let's move to nearby Bangladesh. And CNN reporting Bangladesh's worst ever dengue outbreak, a canary in the coal mine for climate crisis. a warning from the World Health Organization, and Bangladesh is battling the worst dengue outbreak on record, with more than 600 people killed and 135,000 cases reported since April. One of the experts with the WHO is blaming the climate crisis and El Niño weather patterns for driving the surge. There were almost 10,000 hospitalisations on August the 12th alone, according to the WHO, while dengue fever is endemic in Bangladesh, with infections typically peaking during the monsoon season. This year, the uptick in cases started much earlier, towards the end of April. So this situation's been repeated in Thailand this year as well, not to this extent, and the numbers generally are much lower, but there's been a tripling of the number of cases and deaths from dengue in Thailand throughout this year. So clearly something that these subtropical countries are going to have to be very aware of into the future. And, well, you need to be aware of, because you're the best person who can defend themselves against being bitten by mosquitoes. Just a bit about dengue from this article. It's a viral infection. Dengue causes flu-like symptoms, including piercing headaches, muscle and joint pains, fever and full body rashes. It's transmitted to humans through the bite of an infected Aedes mosquito, and there's no specific treatment for the disease. So some people get very minor symptoms, others get mild to severe symptoms. Some people end up in hospital in all sorts of pain and trouble, and some people even die. And dengue is endemic in more than 100 countries, and every year 100 to 400 million people become infected. So as usual, when I report about dengue fever, I'll put an article in the description of this video about the 10 best ways that you can avoid being bitten by mosquitoes. And this article from Coconuts Bangkok: experience Bangkok's majestic Mormon temple over the next 2 weeks. There it is. Look at that temple. I used to walk past that at least every week. You can see it very easily. Oh, the article will describe where you can see it. But quite an amazing piece of architecture in striking contrast to everything around it. Let's see what we can find. Since Friday, visitors are permitted to enter the new Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints building until September the 16th. After that, it's only open to worthy church members. Now, if you've been on the Sirat Expressway or ridden on the airport link at Makassar, you might have noticed the whopping great Latter-day Saints Bangkok, Thailand temple taking shape over the last few years. Eyesore or architectural marvel, you be the judge. But all faiths are welcome to check out the truly unique building, measuring 4,508 square metres. So overseas missionary is a big part of the Mormon church, and they've built this huge edifice right in the middle of Bangkok, and the building is quite outstanding. Whatever you might think of it architecturally, it's certainly a show of good faith, or at least optimism, in what's going to be happening in a country that is predominantly 95% Buddhist. Not really sure what the locals are thinking about it, but good luck to all the Mormons there. And thank you for joining us today on our TNT, a quick look of all the things happening around Thailand. Now we've got our live program tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thai time, and then Grumpy Old Men on Sunday with Steve Ross with an E. Thanks for watching. See you soon.